What's up, everybody? My name's Adam McDormand, and today we're going to talk about writing. Now, in our last video, I went over how to build out a works cited page. And I purposely did that before talking about in-text citation to deal with one very specific exception to the in-text citation rule that you'll run into a couple of times this year. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and go back and make sure that you check that one out first so that when we talk about this particular exception, it will make sense as to why we're doing what we're doing. So I'm in Microsoft Word on my iPad right now, looking at template just as we left it in our last video. What we're going to talk about is what an in-text citation looks like. It's simply the author's last name and a page number inside of parentheses at the end of your sentence. So let's say I want to quote that one line from the end of Fahrenheit 451 from the last video where it says, "The men lay gasping like fish laid out on the grass." Now it's very important that you end your quote with the quotation marks and do the citation after that. I've ended the quote, then in parentheses, author's last name, the page number, which is 161. No commas, no P period. It's just a last name and a page number, close the parentheses, and then we put a period. You don't always have to quote your evidence, but even if your evidence is a summarized bit of information or a paraphrase of a piece of information, you need to include an in-text citation. Of course, this in-text citation corresponds with the works cited entry for that text. All right, I have Fahrenheit 451 here, citing quote from that text right here. Okay, I'm using the same information. Let's say that I want to summarize a little bit of information from the next text on my works cited, a short story from the Martian Chronicles called There Will Come Soft Rains. Even if it is a summary or a paraphrase, you still need to include an in-text citation. I may repeat that over and over again because it's always the truth and you need to make sure you don't forget that. Kind of summarize the opening page of that short story. The house was completely automated. Parentheses, last name, space, page number, and the parentheses, period. No comma, no P period, no abbreviations, just the last name and the page number. Now you might notice a problem with what I've done here. I've cited two different works by the same author and I've used the last name for both of them. And in this instance, they're both from around the same page number, so there's not even a clear hint as to which one of these texts I'm referring to in my in-text citation. And that's the reason that we waited to do this until now, because it's important for us to take a look at this particular case that you will run into at least a couple of times this year for sure. The way we go about fixing an in-text citation where we're dealing with two works by the same author, take a look at our works cited page, and we move to the first place in the entry where those two things are different. The name of the author is the same, so we can't use that. The next thing is the name of the source, which in the case of Fahrenheit 451 is the title of the book, and in the case of There Will Come Soft Rains, it's the title of the short story. And what you do is, if it's short enough, you can use the title or you can abbreviate it. So where we've quoted Fahrenheit 451, I'm going to change that to Fahrenheit. And because we're including the title of a book, it needs to be italicized, just like we mentioned in the last video. And for this one, we don't want to use the entire title of the short story because it's kind of long. So we'll just call it Soft Rains. And of course, because it's the title of the short story and not an entire book, we're just using quotes, not italics. If you look at this, it's very easy to tell which text I'm referring to. We'll look at one more example here. If you look at our works cited page as it is right now, you'll notice that there are a couple of sources that don't have authors at all. For instance, if we wanted to cite that episode of The Office, because of the fact that it doesn't have an author in the traditional sense, we just use the first piece of information that we can. So let's make up a bit of information and we'll summarize the episode that Jim was up to his usual antics whatever that means. No author, so we're just going to use the first piece of information that we can there and just cite this as Dundee's. Now, there are no pages in an episode of television, obviously, and when you don't have a page number to attach to an in-text citation, which will happen very often with electronic sources that don't have discrete page numbers, or videos, music, things like that, there won't be a page number. So you just leave that part out. It's easy. Just end your citation right after that tag, put a period after it, and you're done. In-text citation is very straightforward, except for a couple of weird edge cases that you will run into from time to time. But if you use the basic kind of decision-making process, you should be able to accurately put together in-text citation pretty easily, and you'll get used to it because we'll practice it a lot during the course of the year. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Until next time, good luck, have fun, what a time to be alive.